because everyone would be wondering who has a podcast, like, how do you find a Jamie or something that is like high level positions, even for like companies you have. I've always wondered, how'd you find the people to run those so you can actually do what you do best?
Yeah. Well, with the comedy club's a good example. With the comedy club, when I started that and I came out here to Austin, it was like the universe had opened it was like, you know when you're driving, sometimes you hit every green light.
Yeah.
It's like it's red.
It feels like it's meant to be.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
That's how the comedy club was. It's like I realized that, I had always had this idea that I wanted to eventually get out of LA. And as my youngest daughter started getting older, I was like, I do not want them growing up in this fucked up, materialistic, fame-driven, bizarro world of LA. Because it's not conducive to becoming a healthy human being and developing discipline and being present and just having like a well-adjusted, well-balanced adult human being. I'm like, this is a fucking mess over here. Like I see these people that are adults that are raising their kids. These are grown-up babies raising babies. I'm like, this is fucking madness. I got to get out of here. And so when the pandemic hit and then the riots were hitting and then there was fucking zero police presence and there were keeping all these businesses locked down and all these restaurants, these guys I knew that run restaurants, they were all going under. The Comedy Store was fucked. They weren't letting them host any shows. There was no stand-up to be done. And we came out here in May of 2020, and initially I was thinking maybe we'll get a vacation house and we can visit here and go. And then my kids wanted to live here like right away because when we were in LA, everybody had a mask on and you couldn't go to a restaurant. We came out here, we're eating at a restaurant in May of 2020. And I remember my kids were like, I can't believe we can sit down in a restaurant. We don't have to wear masks. Like they checked your forehead when you get in there, the temperature. It was all nonsense. Like, what's your temperature? Make sure you're not. and then you sit down and you eat and everybody was fine. And then a few weeks later, they just let loose everything. They're like, no restrictions. Go back to life. And Gavin Newsom's like, everyone's going to die. What are you doing? And they kept everything locked down forever, kept kids out of school forever. So we came out here. And when we came out here, we started doing stand-up. So I started doing stand-up with Dave Chappelle at Stubbs, which is an outdoor venue. We did it very responsibly. We tested the entire audience. The audience had to get there an hour before the show. Everybody got tested. We really only wound up filtering a small handful of people out that tested positive for COVID over the course of like however many shows we did there. And then we started doing shows indoors. And when we started doing shows indoors, that's when I was realizing we really need a comedy club, like a real comedy club here. Because comics from LA started moving to Austin before I even had a club because they realized that I was doing shows here. And that we could all do shows together. So I'd be like, come down, do a couple shows. So I'd fly them in. They do the podcast. They do a few shows at the club, and they go, this is fucking amazing. It's like we're doing comedy again. And then they started moving here. And then the Comedy Store was shut down. So because the Comedy Store was shut down, all of the best employees were unemployed. So I contacted the talent manager. I contacted the manager. I contacted the bar manager. I contacted all these people. And I said, hey, I'm going to open up a comedy club, but I want to hire you now. And so I'm going to pay you. You'll fly to Austin. I'll give you money to relocate, and then you'll get free money for like a year and a half. You'll get paid a full salary. Insurance, everything. Just come here, and we're going to build this club together. And so everything aligned perfectly so that when the club was open, we were dialed in. The people had already lived here. We had, like, Carrie, our bar manager, is amazing. And she literally recruited the best waitresses and bartenders, brought everybody in. We got up and running, and we were smooth within a week. So it was like
finding her, though. Is that you or
me? I knew her.
Okay.
She was a good friend.
Gotcha.
She was my friend at the Comedy Store for years. Like we'd always hang out together and have drinks after club. She was just cool as shit, and she was really disciplined. And she was really good at keeping creeps out of the comics bar and making sure that everybody wasn't being infringed on. Because there's a comics bar at the Comedy Store. And it's literally Mitzi's bar. She has a bar from her home that is in the Comedy Store comedian's bar. And that was our place. We'd go in between shows and after shows, and we would all hang out there, and it was just fun. It was just laughs and this and that. And I'm like, that's gone now. When we were in Austin, I'm like, I need to recreate that. And I needed Kerry. I needed Adam, who's a talent coordinator. It needed all these different people that understood how to run a club and had been doing it at the highest level at the store. And they were all available because they were unemployed. So it was like everything was perfect. Everything was perfect. It was like all these doors just opened up and then bam. And so when people say, how'd you put together this comedy club? I'm like, I don't know if I could have done it any other way. Because if I had to start from scratch and all these people were employed and they didn't want to move and LA was going great, I wouldn't be able to recruit them. I wouldn't be able to say, hey, leave your whole life and all your friends and come to Texas.
Yeah.
But it was attractive, 3 years ago.
So overseeing it all, is it kind of just like you have high level people who take care of it and you can just focus on your comedy and the fun shit, essentially?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, there's a few issues that I have to deal with. There's some decisions that have to be made, and there's problems that have arisen, but nothing major. It's pretty manageable. But it's because the team is really good. And if I didn't have the good people, and also people that are legitimately my friends, like if we never worked together again, I would still call them, we'd talk, we'd hang out. They're all my friends. So when we started working together, putting together this club, it was pretty easy. It was like, again, it was like the universe set everything up. Said, you know what the world needs is a new hub of comedy. And I think you could do that. So we're going to like align all these things so you could do this thing that's completely separate from Hollywood.